Hey all, and welcome back to Pokémon Sword. We're going to be starting the second DLC of the game today, and thanks to this handy-dandy ticket we got given, nice and free as you like, we're heading to the Frozen South, which is a bit weird for anyone who's even taken a smidge of a look at how climates work, but don't worry, there is a story-based reason for why that is. Now, I believe while the Isle of Armor was based on the Isle of Man. Richie, what would you say this is more based on, geographically?
So I am pretty sure, I'm just double checking to make sure that I'm not horrendously wrong, because I mean there's always that chance, but I'm pretty sure that it is meant to be based on Scotland.
Okay.
And annoyingly, Bulbapedia is not providing the information that I was after, like I thought it would. God damn you, you useless website. No, just kidding. It is actually pretty great. I am pretty sure that it is meant to be Scotland because with the Galar region, effectively, if you flip it on its if you flip the UK on its head,
yeah,
that is the shape of Galar. So even though it's in the south of Galar, if you flip it back to the way that the UK looks, it would be in the same place as Scotland. And also Scotland is pretty hilly and has, mountains and all sorts in it. So it makes sense.
Is this whole, planet upside down? Is that why we've got the whole, freezing area downwards? Is this upside down UK on the southern hemisphere or something? Is that what's going on here?
No, like I said, Flame, there is a lore-based reason for why this place is frozen.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to sound smarter than I actually am. Let me have this.
Whatever. I have more mixed opinions about the Crown Tundra than I do with the Isle of Armor, but that's not to say it's bad in any regard. What I will say before we head out is, I feel the Isle of Armor was more fun to explore. I feel like it had more varied terrain and whatnot. And, it's kind of hard to get away from making a snow-based area, but the landmarks here aren't as fun to, eyeball and just, travel around as the Isle of Armors were. But, I don't want to put the Rapidash before the horse, as Leon says. I'll let you guys decide for yourself.
I mean, the Rapidash is the horse, but I get what you're saying. I'll say that for the most part, I do agree in the fact that the Isle of Armor has more distinct areas, whereas a lot of this here is either snowland or grassland. There's not much to go on. Although it did grow on me over time, and as we start seeing the areas, once we're actually allowed to explore, we'll be able to get a better feel for them. But as with the Isle of Armor, we do get an encounter off the bat just to ease us in, so that's pretty much what we're going to be seeing here.
Two new characters. We have question mark girl, and we also have question mark girl's dad. Come on, give me his name.
You gotta wait.
That's not his name. This is Peony. I believe he is Chairman Rose's younger brother?
I believe so. That was confirmed on his rare league card. That's where you find that out. It doesn't outright say it, but yeah, I do like him quite a lot. The daughter, maybe not so much, but
Well, the daughter really got shafted, in terms of character interactions and development and whatnot. We have a little bit of her here, and then she pisses off to a cave and occasionally tells you where to find rare Dynamax Pokemon and whatnot. That's about it. But, we're getting ahead of ourselves again here. What can I say? We've got to keep moving to stay warm and whatnot. Let's have a little bit of a battle, just to break in the Crown Tundra a little bit. And much like Chairman Rose, Peony also uses Steel types.
So they do like their monotype characters.
Can I just say, Peony is the best dad ever, and I think basically the entire internet has decided that they want Peony to be their dad as well, as we will see throughout the Crown Tundra.
He's a bit too smothering for my liking, Rich.
I mean, very much so. It's something that he needs to learn, but you know what the internet is like. They find a daddy, they cling on.
I know, I do love Bowser a lot, but yeah, I kind of I kind of do see why that character trait would still be endearing, even if it is a bit over the top in practice. And that is just like, it's better he cares too much than too little, I suppose. I suppose that's where people kind of find that appeal.
Now, I'm not sure the exact reason as to why they both have copper Rajas. I think it's because like him and Chairman Rose both had Q-Fants as children.
Yeah, that's something else that's talked about on his Rare League card, in the fact that he caught that copper Raja with his brother when they were kids. So, right.
Yes, so to read it exactly as it is stated in the game, so this information pretty much comes from his Rare League card, which you get right at the end. So, though this is seldom addressed publicly, Peony is in fact Rose's younger brother. Peony was compared to his brilliant older brother since he was born, causing him to gradually rebel and become a delinquent. He eventually ran away from home, only to eventually become a gym leader once his talent was recognised. He was even champion once, but shortly afterward, Rose became league chairman. This caused Peony to vanish entirely from the league. The Copper Raja on Peony's team has been there since it was a Q-Fant. It was the first Pokemon Peony caught together with his brother.
Oh, there you go. I was almost about to say, not the first time we've had a steel-based champion, but that's not entirely true in the form of Steven Stone, because while you might think he's primarily steel-based, he's more rock-based than anything, and I don't mean just like rock type, I mean all types of rock. Like he has Cradilly, he has, obviously his Ace Metagross and so on, and by the by, you can find a wild Metagross somewhere around the Crown Tundra, so keep an eye out for that.
That is one of the things that we saw that in both the base game in the wild area and the Isle of Armor, that it still gets me just seeing these fully evolved Pokemon that used to be like really rare and really hard to get hold of. They're just sort of chilling out in the wild. Yeah. It does take some time to get used to that.
But I suppose one of the things that Kim kind of bring up now, I suppose, because we've got plenty of time, is that while the Isle of Armor scales to your level to an extent, so if you go to the Isle of Armor earlier on in your journey, the Pokemon will be around your level. I think it starts at like level 20s and then it sort of scales up a bit. Crown Tundra starts at the level 70s, so you are expected to do this right towards the end. However, a lot of people, because people always need something to complain about, have complained that the Crown Tundra effectively breaks the main game, because what you can do is, so Peony here has just mentioned the max lairs, we're going to have to go visit it immediately. Basically, you do not have to win the fight against Peony, and if you came here right at the start, you're not going to, but pretty much immediately after this fight, you go into the max lair, and you have the chance of bringing out a Pokemon from the max lair that will be probably about level 68, and it isn't affected by the level caps that you get in the main game in terms of catching Pokemon in the wild area.
Oh, right, that you don't need the badges for and so on.
Yeah, and also it will obey you, so you can effectively start your journey with a level 68 Pokemon, thereby completely obliterating the difficulty curve of the game. But then you're just like, well, yeah, but how many people are gonna go do that?
Yeah, that sounds like a small percentage of players, really.
It's an oversight more than anything, and admittedly it should have been considered, and there should have been some kind of consideration with that in mind, but at the end of the day I feel like there's so few people who would deliberately do that. I don't think it's enough to be a massive problem. Granted, if they were to make a newer version like Ultra Sword and Shield or whatever, I would expect something like that to be patched up, but I don't think it's as big of a criticism as some of the other more glaringly obvious criticisms this game carries with it.
Yeah, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about the fucking trees here.
Obviously, yeah. Although, you say that, but I would take the fucking, like, big empty field with an ugly tree over some of the Pokemon clone games that have been popping up recently. Like, you got fucking Temtem, which has that Tumblr art, or you got, like, what is it, Nexamon, which looks like a fucking Flash game, and it's like, you know, like, there's fair reason to crap on Game Freak not doing better, because they absolutely have the resources to do better, but then if you're, oh, look at this is what Pokemon should be, and it looks like a shitty mobile phone game, like, no.
Yeah. There's a phrase in pop culture called, if you come at the king, you best not miss. If you're going to create a Pokemon beta, or at least attempt to eat its dinner, you need to provide something that, you know, betters it in every regard, not just being a challenge. Because I think when people say, we want a game that Game Freak just won't give us, they just want a challenge. I mean, Pokemon's never really been that hard. There are some, like, in instances, say, in Gens 5, 7 and 8, I would say there are some hard battles. Not so much in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6, but in those 3 gens I specified, definitely. But I think maybe if they put in a hard mode, they could get past that. But, you know, regardless of how Game Freak is handling the franchise, you're not going to get something that scratches the Pokemon itch, because their designers know how to develop Pokemon, they know how to implement Pokemon, and I'm sorry, but a lot of these guys just don't. That's just how it is.
Well, I think what it kind of, the problem that these games have is I feel like they're trying to do Pokemon exactly. They're like, I don't like the idea of there being one game that, like, dominates the genre, and I'm more than happy for people to try and have the, like, massive RPG where there's like these hundreds of different characters and that is a thing that you can do to compete with Pokemon. It's just so many of them are so on the nose of, like, you're this young kid and you're going on a journey with these animals, and it's like you are basically making legally distinct Pokemon. And I kind of feel, what, to like sum it up to make it a bit more digestible, what Pokemon needs is it needs a Shovel Knight, not a Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
It's got to kind of take inspiration, but also, like, have its own twist to it that makes it worth playing as well as Pokemon, rather than trying to be a replacement for Pokemon but having less iconic designs, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree on that front. I mean, it's the same argument that got flung at PlayStation All-Stars Battle, whatever the hell that game was called, because that was trying to be a Smash Bros. Like, but didn't do enough of what Smash Bros. Did to, you know, be good, but the things that it tried to do outside of that just didn't work as well as they could have done, and you just ended up with a, you just ended up with this disappointing mess, really.
The worst thing about it is you can't KO opponents without using a special, and the thing about Smash Bros. Is it's fun to build up damage and then just knock them the fuck out of the arena. That's part of why it's had such lasting appeal. Well, it's not just because, you know, it's Mario versus Fox McCloud or whatever, it's because the gameplay is fun at a core level.
Well, it also comes down to a similar kind of thing as what Pokemon's got, in that Pokemon benefits from having these incredibly likeable, iconic character designs. Apart from Cryogonal, the one fucking exception that we got on screen right now, I fucking hate that thing.
Yeah, seriously, you need to stay in the fucking ball so we don't have to look at your fucking face anymore.
Yeah, but, like, if you think, like, everyone's got a favourite Pokemon and whatnot, whereas, like, if you're designing loads from scratch, you better have some fucking solid designs, and they just don't. A lot of them are either obvious imitations of Pokemon, or they're just a bit of a mess. And the PlayStation All-Stars Battle thing kind of had a similar kind of problem, where Nintendo have got loads and loads of iconic characters, whereas, like, PlayStation, it's a less impressive elevator pitch saying, like, you know, we can have Parappa the Rapper fighting DMC Dante. You know, like, they kind of don't have the faces to bring people in before you even get to whatever it brings to the table in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, and this isn't really a fair comparison, but if Nintendo is Pixar, then I would say, like, Sony is DreamWorks in that regard.
Yeah, I do sort of get that, to be honest.
Now, there is a reason we caught one of these guys here. We will, you know, we'll carry it with us for now. I really have, like, no ability to name Pokemon while I'm recording, so fuck it, it's Snowflake.
Yeah, see, I have the same problem, so I just don't give them nicknames.
Well, at the time of recording, there is a Nuzlocke run coming. I think this video will go up before it actually happens. Let me have a look here. This playthrough starts on the 17th, and funnily enough, a week after that is the Pokemon Heart Gold Nuzlocke run for charity.
Yay!
Yep, so I will say that will probably be an entirely new experience for me, actually, because I've seen a few people talk about Nuzlocke over the years, but I've never actually watched one myself, so that would be fascinating.
I'm not expecting to beat it by any means, but if it's entertaining enough and we raise money, hey,
Yeah, now here's something cool that, again, going back to what I was saying about finding cool, rare evolution Pokemon on the field, now we're finding fossil Pokemon on the field as well, and that's cool. Like, the fossil Pokemon used to be some of the most annoying ones to get hold of because you would need to find an item which would usually be exclusive, like one a game, and you'd have to go and do a little thing where you take it to a scientist. Whereas now it's just like, they're wandering around, you can find them. Granted, whatever, Amora, this one's one of the least memorable fossil Pokemon on the whole, but you do get some of the cool ones wandering around as well, so that's something that you can look forward to seeing.
Was this a version exclusive back in Gen 6?
Was it, or was it the thing where you can pick one or the other? Because that's what they usually do with fossil Pokemon.
Oh yes. Let me double check.
Okay, while Richie does that, I will say Tyrant is also catchable here.
Yes, Tyron is one of my favourite fossil Pokemon, and its evolution, Tyrantrum, is really fucking cool.
It's like, what is it, Rock Dragon?
Yeah, it's Rock Dragon. I remember using that on my team in my first Pokemon X run.
So you are right, it is a fossil one rather than a version exclusive. It gets to the point now these days where you're just like, was it a fossil? Was it a version exclusive? They're all blending into each other.
Oh, Richie, you're getting old, my friend. And speaking of things that are old, and probably should have died by this point, fucking Mamoswine over here. You're meant to stay in the Ice Age.
Well, I mean, he saw the ice around and thought he was still at home. Like, has he been cryogenically frozen and he hasn't even noticed?
Well, the thing is, the guy at the start in the station said this place is like strangely icy and more rock Pokemon have appeared. So whatever caused the frost must have like revived a few Pokemon at least.
Well, we know that the Mamoswine line can survive in cold temperatures just in general, like going back to the Johto anime where Price's Piloswine had been in the cave for years. Like, that was the little story they had there of Price thought his Piloswine had left him, but it had actually got lost in a cave and was just living there frozen for years.
Ah, that old chestnut. So yes, this is one of the new things to the Crown Tundra, the Max Lairs. We're going to go on a Dynamax adventure, and if you thought the regular raids were a bit too slow for your liking, don't worry, this speeds it up a lot, and you can even grab a legendary or 6 while you're here.
It speeds up some things, but in exchange for that convenience, you have to use one of the shitty rental Pokemon.
Oh, come on, there's like plenty of good Pokemon here, and the fact like you can't just come in and sweep the whole thing makes it, more challenging. Unless you're fighting Zygarde, in which case he can go fuck himself.
Well, it's a combination of the rental Pokemon usually don't have as good movesets as your own Pokemon would have, and you're also dependent on the AIs using Pokemon and making dumb fuck decisions that fuck you over.
Yeah. So my perspective on this whole thing is there's nothing inherently wrong with the rental Pokemon. In fact, some of them are pretty damn good. Some of them are not, but there's sort of that debate. But I think that's always been the case with rental Pokemon throughout the years with Pokemon.
Oh yeah, fuck the stadium games for that in particular.
Yeah. What I would say is I definitely enjoyed the Max Raid battles here a lot more than I did the regular Dynamax raid battles. Because the AI on the whole seems a bit smarter, and also the Pokemon that you get as options are generally a bit better. the problem does just come in yeah, it's that AI issue in that sometimes you get to a point and they do just make really stupid decisions. Like, you've got a team that looks like, oh yes, this is going to be perfect to take on the final battle at the end of this, which will pretty much always be a legendary. Well, actually, no, I think it always is a legendary.
That's the point of the Max adventure here, Mo.
And they'll swap out a Pokemon that's really good for a Pokemon that's way worse, and you're just like, why?
Yeah, it's like, there's a Steel type coming up. Should I stick with my Fire type? You know what? No. I'm going to go for Steel type as well.
Yeah, so that's the problem with it more so than anything else. And then I would say that kind of in addition to that, some of the legendaries, it's either their AI or it is just the AI of your partners. It does just make them slightly not fun. Zygarde is a good example. Kyurem is a good example. I had a number of attempts at trying to get them and it just did not end well. So I was just like, you know what? I'm really not that bothered, so...
I think I got lucky with Kyurem. It was Zygarde, which I have yet to capture, and Kyogre.
Yeah, see, from playing more and more of the raids over time since the game came out, I've come to realise that, in general, I just really do not like the raid mechanic, because there's too many opportunities for you to be fucked over through things that aren't your fault.
Yeah.
And that comes down to mainly the AI. Also, you got like the thing which still carries over into the Dynamax Adventure here, which is like, if 4 characters die, then that overdoes it. Like, that writes you out. And that, when you've got an AI character who has done something stupid, like, you can have all the right matchups, you can have a smart strategy going on, but because some twat AI character did something stupid, you're getting punished. And that, to me, that is... like, that makes it not fun. That makes me not want to bother going after all the legendaries and that, because more often than not, if you fuck up in a raid battle, it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, and I think ultimately that is the main problem with this system. And if they'd gone, I suppose, with more of the Dynamax battles that you get in the field, I suppose, so for example the Vespiquen fight in the Isle of Armor and some of the other bosses that we've faced down throughout Sword and Shield in Dynamax form, that would have been fairer. Or even, you know, just taking the fainting thing out and just doing it in 10 turns, because then that's still a challenge, but it means that you aren't going to get completely screwed over by the AI. And then, yeah.
I think my main problem with it is I like the system as it is. It's the fact you have 4 lives, but that has to see you through like 3 battles and then a legendary.
Yeah.
And if you hit a bad streak, you're going to be down to like 1 life, and you need, in some of these legendaries, to have a buffer of like a few lives or so. Otherwise you're just going to be instantly kicked out of the den. And that really feels awful. If it was 4 lives per match, that would be a lot more doable, but 4 overall you're asking a bit much here.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose we were moaning, saying, please, for the love of God, give us a challenge.
I wasn't doing that, I was quoting someone else.
Yeah, but I want to bring up, there's a difference between give us a challenge versus give the incompetent AI a challenge that fucks us over. Like, there's a big difference there.
We're talking about the variables here, Richard.
I know, I'm doing more in the vein of, you have the general, well not the general, but you have a very loud portion of the Pokemon fan base who just like, make the games challenging. It's just like, I mean, they did. Probably shouldn't have done it like this, but I mean, answering it in one way. Maybe it was a big middle finger, maybe that was the point, just saying, stop telling us to make it challenging, otherwise we'll do this to you, you sods.
Game 3 could be so much more petty than they actually are, so I wouldn't say that. It's a very angry Wigglytuff.
It is, but also, I'm pretty sure the Wigglytuff in this is pretty awesome.
I completely murdered that guy, so yeah.
Psychic attack against a fighting type. It was buggered.
See ya. Thanks, Oscar. Really pointed your way.
Don't worry, in a turn he'll bring that back out to get one shot again.
Lovely. That happened more than once. I'm not going to use Zygarde. Fucking lands Wrath twice in a row.
But that's another thing, when you get a bad matchup like that, it would like the Pokemon on the field becomes a liability. And so the fact that he gets revived a turn later is more of a problem than if you just left him dead.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna catch this?
I might as well, just to, check out its moves and so on. And don't worry, everything's a confirmed capture here, so use whatever Pokeballs you like.
Yeah, that is the one benefit this does have that really sticks out to me over the regular raid battles, in that the regular raid battles, if you see something you want, you spend like 10 minutes fighting some of these fuckers because they've got so much health, and then you throw like an Ultra Ball or something and you get fucked over and you got to do it all over again, which is annoying.
That's a fucking waste of time is what it is.
I feel like, given the fact that they are bosses and they're more difficult than regular Pokemon battles, I feel like it should just be a general thing of you can catch it once you've taken down the boss.
Exactly, and like those raids have like the really shitty health gates and whatnot in the form of like the shields that'll pop up every so often, especially the meaner ones. And oh boy, not a fan of those. Thankfully, these like raid bosses do not have like shields and whatnot, which makes them much more enjoyable to fight, but they still hit like a truck.
Definitely. I mean, I suppose one of the other things that, it's something that we can get into probably a little bit more as we progress through the Crown Tundra, but I've realised that in terms of like legendary Pokemon, I very much prefer the approach of beating a big boss and then throwing the Pokeball after I've beaten it, rather than and sort of be guaranteed the catch, rather than the trying to catch it throughout a battle, because then it feels like I have succeeded on my own merits rather than being at the whims of luck in terms of whether the catch rate is going to be good enough or luck's going to favour me that time round in order to catch the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a problem with the franchise as a whole. Well, I say problem, it's more of a me problem than it is a series problem, because I can take it or leave it, really. But logically speaking, if you feint a Pokemon, you should be able to capture it 100%. If the thing is sleeping, you should be able to capture it 100%. But there's still RNG to make sure you don't just, stomp through the game, It's artificial difficulty, really.
I feel like, to a degree, with like just regular Pokemon that you encounter throughout the game, it's the RNG factor. Maybe it's a kind of necessary evil. I would obviously rather not have to deal with luck with that, but I do also understand that they just don't want to just give you any Pokemon you feel like getting right off the bat, and so I know everyone wants to have like 6 fucking Charizards and win everything, but like there is that sort of balancing act there. But when it comes down to a particular boss fight, which legendaries really are, and particularly when it's in this raid format, and like this goes for the Gigantamaxes and whatnot in the wild area as well, but like given these battles go on for so much longer than a typical just you found a Zigzagoon or whatever, I feel like to balance it out you should get the free catch. That's kind of my takeaway from that, really.
Yeah, I think with Sword and Shield approach with like the Dynamax adventures, it's something that I think I've probably always thought, but having it kind of put directly against each other, you've got examples of the legendaries here where you beat them, you throw a ball, you definitely catch them, versus legendaries where you've got to try and frantically catch them without killing them. And this side of things was much more enjoyable as a catch than any of the other legendaries. Not to say that those battles aren't fun, it's just the frustration of trying to catch sometimes ends up counteracting any fun that you might have had prior.
I feel like to a degree some of the legendaries you find in the Crown Tundra that we'll be going for later, the whole like them having very low catch rates is kind of an artifact thing, and that's kind of something that it's gonna just carry over. But for this new type of battle, I am glad that we get the instant catch now. You know, like,
Yeah.
And we'll probably talk about that more when we get to the Titans and whatnot. But I will say, throughout this run, you've got really lucky with that Porygon's moveset, because you got counters for a good handful of other things.
What do you mean lucky? I chose the thing that had a good moveset, and then because when you're going down the route and whatnot, you have to vote which way you want to go, and thankfully the AI is so brain dead that they will just pick the route that you want.
Yeah, but you got lucky that that Porygon was among the 3 they offered you, because sometimes you do just get a whole hand of shit.
Well, fine, I'll accept that. It was a bit of 50-50 there. There we go. Got a fresh new Pokemon, even though I beat the shit out of it.
Yeah, even though the Porygon's Thunderbolt would have helped for Suicune here.
Yeah, but then the Porygon was low on health, so it probably would have gotten killed quite quickly. And so this is something that I was actually wondering when I first played as to whether the first legendary is random or not, but it would appear that it is always Suicune.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Which I'm fine with, because I really like Suicune as a character. It's just odd that it's one of a trio, and it's not... I don't think it's guaranteed that you get Entei or Raikou next, is it?
No, it's definitely not.
It's random.
Yeah, so that is kind of strange that they have one of a trio set, but I like Suicune, so whatevs.
But what is pretty cool, so obviously everyone was just like, oh, bring back the legendaries. And they did, so all 46 legendary Pokemon from previous generations become part of the Sword and Shield Pokédex with the Crown Tundra. Although that said, you can't catch all of them in this mode. You can catch a bloody lot of them, although some are version exclusive. I think Dialga and Palkia, Xerneas and Yveltal. Basically, when you've got the version exclusive box art legendaries, they tend to be exclusive to the different versions.
Right, yeah.
Which, I mean, makes sense. But then, yeah, some of the others just aren't in here, so you can't find Mew in here, you can't find Celebi.
Well, those are mythicals, not legendaries.
Well, that's true.
There's a lot of crossover there. It's terminology that gets thrown around, whatever.
So, I mean, it's a bit disappointing that some of those aren't in here. I mean, the one that's probably the most... everyone's just going, what the hell is going on? Is Victini. In the sense that, so obviously because everyone does this all the time now, the Crown Tundra got data mined pretty much as soon as it came out, and in the game's code there appears to be a battle, like a field battle for Victini, but everyone has tried pretty much everything they can think of and has not been able to find out how to get this Victini battle to commence, and it's a bit crazy. My suspicion is that it might be just a bit of code left over and that they intended to have it in and then never actually, matched it up, or it could be that it is there, it's just that somebody popped up somewhere and didn't put the one bit of code in that, actually activated it. Or it might be something that maybe they're leaving in there for a little bit later down the line.
That's most likely, I'd imagine.
Free DLC, which I suspect is probably what is going to happen, because so far both DLCs have been pretty well received, and hey, you want an extra bit of a holdover, give a third DLC to Sword and Shield to patch in, the rest of the Pokemon that haven't been added yet, because there's not that many left over, and then, it unlocks some extra things in Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor. As a sort of an offer, makes sense, But I know that, yeah, the Pokemon, YouTube and internet fan base has gone just completely crazy trying to catch Victini.
Well, they will. You put a legendary Pokemon in the thumbnail and you got 3 views basically, so you know, that's kind of how it works.
Yep.
So, if ever you see, at least for the time being, any videos saying, here's how you catch Victini in the Crown Tundra, in Sword and Shield, they're just going to tell you to go to Pokemon Home. That is all they're going to tell you to do, because at present, when we are recording this, that's the only way to get Victini into Sword and Shield.
Well, there you go, there you go. Shoutouts to Tanner for almost losing this tutorial fight, by the way.
I did see that in his run, where one of the fucking allied Pokemon used fucking Rain Dance here. Why would you do that? Yeah. Like, that is the sort of thing I mean. That is like the exact definition of what I mean about how if you lose these fights, it's probably not your fault.
Well, this fucker with his, like, Dedenne keeps using entrainment for whatever reason. Just use... You're an electric Pokemon, for fuck's sake. Thunderbolt the cunt.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I got a little bit mad there, but god damn it.
When I first played this in Sword, I got quite lucky. I forget what Pokemon I got, but I did get a good lineup to get the Suicune. When I went back to play it for Shield, then I did lose the first time round, and that was really annoying because it was on Suicune, where it was all my teammates wiped. I didn't lose any, but it was my teammates wiped. And god, like, if you look at the timestamps, we've been doing this for like, what, 15-20 minutes now? That's kind of insulting when you have to do that again, you know?
It kind of becomes a gacha at that point. You're just pouring time in rather than money, really.
Yeah, which, like, to be fair, my money is more valuable to me than my time, so I guess it's the better of two evils, so I'll just be sitting here dicking around anyway. But, you know, which of these are you gonna pick? I fucking wonder.
I will take the Wigglytuff.
Like, the only time I can see you not picking the legendary is if one of your others is shiny or something. And before we wrap up here, I will say that is something you won't know if the Pokemon is shiny until this screen, until you get the Pokemon caught. So, you know, like, that's something to bear in mind, which is different to how the raid battles usually work, where you usually see it shiny in the raid.
Oh, fuck that noise. And on that positive, happy note, we'll see you next time when our journey through the Crown Tundra continues. Bye for now, guys.